If you get the strategic reserve, if you get the stockpile in the US, the dominoes that are already set up to fall mean that the year that Bitcoin is about to have is going to be the craziest year ever for Bitcoin. And so, you know, I put out in that thread a 500K target. That is my conservative, I'm not going to call it a bear case, but that's my conservative case. I think you could legitimately see.
How high, realistically, can Bitcoin go in 2025?
My bear case for Bitcoin is 120.
And how about Solana? How high could Sol go?
In a bull market, generally speaking, you bet on altcoins outperforming Bitcoin.
Ooh.
In a bear market,
He's saying the quiet part out loud.
Watch today's whole video. Here is my realistic Bitcoin price prediction by the end of 2025.
What I wanted to do was to give it to you, Austin.
Thank you.
And to let you put out some predictions for us.
And understanding price is calculated by simple supply and demand.
No matter where the price of Bitcoin goes, the issuance schedule is set. There's not going to be any more.
With Bitcoin being the first commodity in human history with literally a mathematically fixed supply faucet, this makes it so much easier to mathematically calculate price projection.
That's unique. And as a result of that, the world has never seen anything that really kind of looks like this.
And we already know why Bitcoin's price went up in 2024. That was the year that institutions were finally legally allowed to buy.
My opinion 5 years ago was wrong. Here's my opinion today. This is what I believe in today. I believe the opportunity today. I believe Bitcoin is legitimate.
That's why price has been increasing. The demand has been increasing starting in 2024. This is verifiable, meaning if demand goes up and supply remains unchanged, price goes up. And we know supply did not remain unchanged. It decreased after the 2024 halving. The effects of this we really don't see immediately. It's about 12 to 18 months after.
So just to be clear, everyone is aware of the fixed supply of Bitcoin. There will only ever be 21 million, but not all 21 million have been issued to the world yet. And so Bitcoin is on a fixed issuance schedule. Satoshi programmed when he or she launched Bitcoin on how those would be issued out. And the halving is when that issuance schedule gets cut in half. So the supply, the forced sellers, those that pay money to produce Bitcoins, which then have to sell it to pay for their costs, that's going to be halved. And so the really simple way to think about it, Ed, is if demand remains the same and the Bitcoin sold gets cut in half, should have an impact on the price to the upside.
Meaning until the data changes, the trend is your friend, leading to the only big question for me in 2025, a potential huge data change, demand increase. This is not needed for Bitcoin to go up, but for me would be a huge differentiator between a base case and a bull case for price prediction. Will we get a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve as promised by Trump?
And it's 1 million Bitcoin is the target. I also know Trump is looking at a day one executive order. There's you know, like
sorry. Day one executive order for a Bitcoin reserve for the United States?
Yeah, but so I know that there's people looking at the Dollar Stabilization Act is it gives the president wide discrepancy to protect the dollar, and there's potential to use a day one executive order to purchase Bitcoin. It wouldn't be at the size and scale of 1 million coins, but it would be a significant position, and it'd be a message.
We also know this is the most pro-crypto Congress ever for the U.S. Congress are the lawmakers. We have this clinched in the House of Representatives. Now the question is the Senate. Any bill has to get passed in both. Political insider Anthony Scaramucci is very confident the U.S. Senate has the votes to approve a strategic BTC reserve.
You think we'll get a strategic Bitcoin reserve? You think that's a thing?
I do, actually.
What does that look like, do you think?
They've got the votes. Haggerty wants it. McCormick wants it.
They have the votes in the Senate, do you think?
I think so, yeah. There's 53.
Really?
I do think so, yes.
For like to her bill to get 1 million Bitcoin, right? That was her full bill,
yeah.
right?
Well,
to keep the 200,000 then.
This stuff gets horse traded. So you'll probably have 200 won't get sold. They'll probably buy another 400,000 or 500,000 Bitcoin.
What?
Over the next.
You
don't think
this
that's going to happen?
Senator,
let me tell you why I think it will happen. Okay, Trump wants it to happen, and he's got the Senate Banking Committee Tim Scott wants it to happen. He's going to be the chair of the Senate Banking Committee. Bessent wants it to happen. If you're telling me there are no Democrats, and I don't believe this because a lot of Democrats voted for the SOB 121 bill. If you looked at the dispersion of vote, it was a bipartisan approval of that bill. And by the way, Ryan, it was if you were 40 or 50, let's say you were below the age of 60, you voted for the bill if you were a Democrat. If you were a fossil like Elizabeth Warren or Sherrod Brown, you voted against it. So if you're telling me there are no Democrats that are going to vote for that, then I'll say, okay, then we're not going to get it. But I don't see that. I think Ro Khanna would vote for it. I think there's a lot of Democrats that look at it.
And understanding all that, understanding how supply and demand affect price, how high realistically can Bitcoin go in 2025? My brother and I were at Michael Saylor's New Year's Eve party to end 2024, go into 2025. Many of you caught the live stream. We talked to so many notable other attendees at the event. But while I was there, I sat down on the Bitcoin Magazine live stream with Brandon Green, head of the Bitcoin conference, also Pete Rizzo of Bitcoin Magazine, and we spoke about this very topic.
This will pale in comparison to Brandon Green's predictions. He's a great interview. We've had him on Altcoin Daily. He gets the views. He brings the perspective.
Hey, y'all get the views too. I mean, your audience is fantastic.
There's a lot of people who want to buy a new altcoin daily. Yeah,
Altcoin Daily on YouTube and Twitter. Catch us there. My prediction for Bitcoin has always been, and again, does not pale in comparison to Brandon's, but my base case, my bear case for Bitcoin is 120. And by the way, that seems lame now. I said that before the ETFs. So this was very clear in 2022 in the bear market because Bitcoin in all past cycles has at least 3x from previous all-time highs. Obviously, we get diminishing returns. So say it only 2x's, and say we take 69K of last cycle, we've already surpassed it, just a 60K. A 2x is 120. Sounds like a big number. It's not that big.
Is this the prediction?
Mid case is 150.
Okay.
Ultimate bull case, if we get the reserve, if everything goes our way, is 200 for this cycle. Brandon will call me a bear.
Very bearish.
What was your high end?
200.
200. Okay. So are we buying or selling, Brian? Brandon, are you buying?
Did you have a defense of that? Because I think that's really bearish.
I just gave it.
Yeah. You know, I think that if you get this goes back to some of my predictions. If you get the strategic reserve, if you get the stockpile in the US, the dominoes that are already set up to fall mean that the year that Bitcoin is about to have is going to be the craziest year ever for Bitcoin. And so, you know, I put out in that thread a 500K target. That is my conservative, I'm not going to call it a bear case, but that's my conservative case. I think you could legitimately see $1 million plus next year in Bitcoin if you start seeing these world governments go into Bitcoin in a really meaningful way. And so, you know, the 200K, you know, it's a safe bet, but man, that feels conservative to me.
Give me your honest thoughts on Bitcoin down below. For me, $120,000 Bitcoin is baked in. Again, just based on supply and demand. And I'm not selling Bitcoin at that time. Actually, Bitcoin's price would have, for me, because I'm a long-term investor, believer, Bitcoin's price would have to be incredibly overvalued in my terms for me to want to sell my Bitcoin. But this is where you take profits on some of the altcoins, for me. Maybe take 10% off the table just to mitigate risk. Again, these are altcoins that we talked about that I was taking out positions in the bear market. At Bitcoin's price between 140 and 150, again, that's when I DCA out of more of my altcoins, not selling any Bitcoin. And my bull case, if the United States doesn't just adopt a Bitcoin stockpile, which is just holding the Bitcoin they already have through confiscations, I think they're doing that. But if they go to the Bitcoin reserve and pass the bill and start buying Bitcoin, I think that's going to create huge awareness and FOMO for other nation states. If/when we approach that $200K mark, again, DCAing out of the altcoins if they're doing well. In my humble opinion, not all altcoins will do well. The quality ones building, I think, will. We cover the market every single day, going over the latest crypto news for altcoins, so click subscribe, join the team. But if Bitcoin increases anywhere from 50% to maybe as much as 100%, I think Solana minimum can increase by 100% from these prices, maybe even a 2 to 3x, around $400 to $600. Bull case would be the 8 to 1,000. Again, that would be, it's a smaller chance, but that's the bull case in my mind. And the only single thing that would invalidate these projections for me, and I would have to say I was wrong on this one, is if we cross back under previous all-time highs. That's around $69,000 BTC. A cross underneath would invalidate the trend for me. But that does also mean Bitcoin can dip in this next year back into the 70s, low 70s, and to me, that does not invalidate the broader trend. Click subscribe for a video a day keeping you informed, and like always, see you tomorrow.